Our CEO wanted to cancel all work from home arrangements because he got inspired by Elon Musk, or so he says. In 3 to 4 months, work from home are only for all hours above 45 each week. So if you put in 45 hours at the office, you can work from home after that. Contracts state, we have a 37.5-hour week. I am head of IT, and have fought a hard battle for office workers. We are a retail chain, to get work from home and won that battle some time ago. How would you all react to this?
Make sure your offboarding process is functioning, because it's about to get a stress test.
Tell him that hiring and training new people involves real cost to the business, and people will quit over this.
That was actually a good idea.
My last job canceled work from home and the entire marketing department quit within 2 weeks, including the VP. They had it rough.
And the Nimrod will get a bonus for cutting costs.
And then he'll ditch the place before the consequences can affect him.
This seems like a resume-producing event. I see no way to fight this.
My CEO forced us all back with 1 week's notice. He's pretty much just a power-tripping dinosaur, and none of the executive staff have the balls to challenge him because he has a history of firing execs who disagree with him. The real kicker is I joined this company only a few months ago and turned down 2 other offers for it. But I'm currently in the late stages interviewing at a couple other places, so hopefully one of those works out.
Yeah, I was hired on as a hybrid worker. I come in 2 days a week to the office. I haven't had to go into an office 5 days a week since 2018. A month ago, our CEO said everyone within an hour driving distance of work must come in 5 days a week starting next month. That. Of course, I didn't sign anything when I started work here almost 3 years ago. It was just agreed upon that I'd come in twice a week. I'm on my way out.
Isn't your drive an hour and 15 minutes? After you stop at Wendy's
or Waffle House, if in the South, and need to add more time than a drive-through.
We're having a similar battle here. Prior to the pandemic, I was 100% work from home for over 5 years, and we were all actively encouraged to work from home as much as possible. At the end of 2021, they told us the new normal would be in the office 2 to 3 days a month. Then in mid-2022, they reopened offices and said we need to be in 2 days a week. Well, a lot of people moved, canceled childcare, and made other decisions based on 2 to 3 days a month. So we had a ton of people quit. We had meeting where they asked us how to stop the bleed. We told them that we need to go back to the pre-pandemic work from home policy if you want to stop the bleed, and they told us that was not an option. Trying to explain to upper management that that is the only thing people care about falls on deaf ears. So, now we have people coming in 2 days a week and they're leaving at lunchtime and working from home in the afternoon. Just tell them, 1, people will quit. 2, you will get less work per day out of people. They won't take that call at 4:45 when they're in the office. They'll be packing up to make sure they're ready to bolt at 5 p.m. 3, if you're in an urban area, then people are dependent on bus and rail schedules, and that will dictate how long they hang around.
That's a surprising chain of events. Literally, the opposite of what I'm seeing everywhere. COVID started work from home everywhere. From 10% to like 90% in IT. Post officers started delivering packages instead of leaving them at their office for a pickup, because people are at home.
Yeah, before the pandemic we were all about working from home as much as possible. The company has a list of offices we were planning to close as soon as the lease was up. My building was completely remodeled and turned into Hotel NG space. We even installed a web-based desk reservation system, so you could make sure there was a desk available. I used to go in 2 days a month with the 2 co-workers that were local, just so we could have lunch. The other 5 guys were in other parts of the country. I had some co-workers on this team that to this day I have never met in person. Then the pandemic hit and everyone was sent home. I tried to go in once because we had a nasty thunderstorm, and my house lost power. I called and they told me if I come into the office, they'll fire me. There are people that need to be in that building, and if I go in, I am putting their lives at risk. So, I got a hotel room. It was July and in the 90s. My wife and kids went to the room to enjoy some air conditioning. In the room I VPN'd into work on the hotel Wi-Fi. My boss sees I am online and calls me. He asks me if I have power. I told him no, I got a hotel room. He says, you VPN'd in. You're working. Expense the hotel room. Then 2021 comes around, and they have a meeting about the new normal. Once the pandemic lifts, the expectation will be for people to come in 2 to 3 days a month, unless a project dictates you come in more often than that. 2022 comes around and executive management decides the pandemic is over and it's time to reopen all the offices. Offices reopen in mid-2022. And they tell us everyone is expected to come in 3 days a week, to start. I assume at some point, they're going to up that number. This blindsided a lot of people, since the last instructions we got was 2 days a month. People made life choices based on that communication. Now a bunch of people were f***ed. You could get classified as a 100% remote worker. But you had to live over 2 hours from a company location. If Google Maps showed you were in 1 hour and 59 minutes from an office, then your ass was going in 2 days a week. I checked myself in the HR system and I was classified 100% remote, but I was 30 minutes from the office. So I had my boss reclassify me as local. Because I knew where this was heading. When the next layoff comes, all the 100% remote workers will be cut. We're in a hiring freeze now. We can't even hire contractors or temps. There's definitely a layoff in our future. I have 2 coworkers that are classified 100% remote and are not going into the office. But they're both a reasonable driving distance away from an office. A few of us have warned them, they should reclassify themselves as local and start coming in at least 1 day a week. They don't care. At my last review, I talked with my boss about it and he said he can only protect them for so long before senior management notices. He doesn't think he's going to get a non-compliance report on them. He just thinks they're going to part of the next layoff.
Quiz your staff of their reactions to such a proposal and submit the anonymized data to the CEO. It'll likely end up, how do you plan to replace half the IT staff in short order?
How would you all react to this? The larger issue is your CEO getting management ideas from what Elon Musk does, so I'd start looking for a new job.
The larger issue is your CEO getting management ideas from what Elon Musk does, so I'd start looking for a new job. Before he walks in holding a piece of bathroom furniture and yells, "Let that sink in."
When my previous employer canceled work from home, the entire IT team quit. No notice resignations. The policy was rescinded within a day and retention bonuses paid to get people back, but the brain drain ended up ruining the company. 500 employee workforce and the company went under. It's shutting down at the end of this calendar year.
It's the CEO's business. If he wants to pull everyone back to the office, he can pull everyone back to the office. It's around and find out territory, though, because soon he won't have much of a business when all his people leave via mass exodus.
I worked IT for a retailer. Over a chunk of COVID, we were expected to be on-prem 2 to 3 days a week. We managed to turn up 2 days and just forget about the third. 2 things happened in quick succession. We were told work from home in general was at risk. We were going to be pushed to do 4 days a week in office soon, and back to full-time was likely. I was in the office one day and heard some mindless sprite from HR giggling her chirpy little head off about how it was so weird being back in the office. She was in for that one day only and hasn't been in the office in over 18 months, that she wasn't going to be back in any time soon, like at all, and that legal and most of finance were doing the same. I found another job and quit. No kidding, in one of several departure meetings my manager told me not many jobs advertised were offering hybrid, let alone fully work from home. I told him not all jobs can do either of those things. You can't stack shelves from home, but you can reboot a server, and IT vacancies were most definitely increasingly offering hybrid. He then told me very matter-of-factly retail was an on-prem business. I told him I didn't work in retail, I work in IT. I don't think he understood until that point the complete difference in philosophies between him and me. So my advice, like so many others, would be to polish that CV and just leave. Life is too short to deal with the idiocy of anyone like that. Close the book and roll the dice on a new place. There are plenty places that would be interested in the kind of remote worker support experience you could bring.